Welcome back.
Hey, man.
It has been
a
long time, man. It's been a long time since we've been in the same state, in the same city. This is Super Flow Bro, the Super Flow Bro podcast, Volume 3, Episode 19. And I am here with my amazing, my talented, my very creative co-host, Morgan.
Yas.
Welcome back.
Y'all know who it is, Metro.
How was your semester?
It was rough.
Alright. Before we get any further, if you don't know, I am at One Marcus Flowers, aka Flow, at One Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms.
And y'all know who it is, Metro Meta 26, he who will rise above, he who shall not be named. And I'm excited, you know. I'm back. I'm finally back in the studio. You already messing up my computer.
That was my fault. So let's jump right in. Front Porch. Robert Pattinson, he is favorite. Is Pattinson? It's Pattinson.
Patterson.
It's not Patterson. It's Pattinson.
Y'all write in the comments.
He is favored to be the next Batman in the upcoming Matt Reeves movie, and of course, the Snyder fanatics have.
Are you excited about this?
I mean, I've never seen. I know he was a big
Twilight. He was in other movies before that, but I think just looking at him, and because I watched maybe one or two Twilights, and just looking at him and how he acted, I don't see him as a Batman. I look at him and I'm not intimidated. I don't see the Dark Knight that crawls and strikes fear to the hearts of criminals. I see a pretty boy who makes middle-aged women dance in the streets.
Well, if we want to be 100, Bruce Wayne is a pretty boy who makes older women dance in the streets. He is the perfect merge between playboy and superhero. And that is why I think a person like Pattinson will work, because it's alleged that he'll be the youngest Batman if he is cast on for this role. I think that's really dope. I also think that more importantly than Batman, it will be important to see if they actually put a Bat family in. I think that's what's smart. I would like we've seen Batman so many times, so many iterations. I would rather see his motivation of being such a strong, talented, silent. The people who drive him to be the best, and that is the Bat family, which would be Robin, Batgirl, and even the current iterations like Duke. I would like to see Duke in the near future.
What would be your top 5 for who you want to see in the Bat family?
I would definitely want to see. I would like to see a young Jason Todd. I feel like if done right, he would be the most compelling Robin, because he is the Robin who is the most like Bruce Wayne when it comes to violence, when it comes to fighting, and he didn't really have his moral compass was skewed compared to Grayson and Tim Drake. And so I would love to see Jason Todd. I also would like to see Barbara Gordon done well. I would like to see probably her New 52 version.
New 52 bar. I did read that though.
When she's like Batgirl again, obviously, and the legs are back, so there's no more Oracle. I also would like to see a true Joker, because even with the Joker film coming out,
I don't think Batman's gonna be in that, is he?
No, he's not. But I just think with the Joker, if done right, the Joker can be well. But I don't think they would go to that vein anymore. But I would definitely like to see a Scarecrow, a Poison Ivy done right, even like a Harley Quinn who's not Margot Robbie.
You don't like Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn?
I think she's fine. I just think in this new phase of DC films, it's going to no, for sure.
For me, my top 5 for the Bat family gotta be Black Bat. I love her. I'd like to see spoiler. I feel like in this age of like social media, they could really do a sort of Game of Thrones spoiler-esque commentary with her.
No, for sure.
And probably the wild one I would love to see them throw in just to make the comic fans upset would probably be Misfit, the only one of the Bat family that actually has powers.
Right.
I feel like if they do her right and they rein her powers in into like a sort of like a weaker version of what's his name? The X-Men, the blue one?
Nightcrawler?
Yeah, if they make like a weaker version of Nightcrawler with more like martial arts, I feel like she'd just be fun to watch.
True. Alright, so we have bad service in here. So next we are talking about we're going to talk about the show that has been on everybody's mind in the past, let's say, when did Game of Thrones start? In 2011?
I don't know. I never watched it. Did you watch it?
I started season 8, so...
Did you start at season 8 or did you watch to season 8?
No, I started at season 8.
Why would you start at season 8?
But, wait.
Professionalism. Only here at 2016.
Wait, no, okay, alright, so we're back. Let me... Okay, my fault,
Variety. They are awful.
You need,
I'm not getting a Variety subscription.
No.
That's not happening.
You need the ad blocker. Okay, so if you haven't noticed, Game of Thrones has been, I say I like it. I've only watched season 8, so as an expert of the show, I would say it did proper fan service. It made sense. I don't know spoilers. The person who got on the throne, it made sense as well, and so I was rather pleased.
Yeah,
but
you didn't watch everything going
there were people online who said this was horrible. Why did they do this? This makes absolutely no sense. Did you see
the petition that had the season rewritten with competent writers?
No, for sure, and that's never gonna happen. So HBO programming director Casey Blouse spoke to Variety, and he praised the series. He said, "I think the guys did a great job. It's always sad when a show departs, but that's part of the TV life cycle, and life moves on. But obviously, we're really proud of the show. And of course, there's been plot holes in the face of gripping social media about the finale. The end of the show has sharply divided fans." To that, he replied, "I think to a certain extent, it was expected that for a show this big, there's no way you're going to please everybody. It's roughly split, with some people loving it and some people disliking it. That's about what you'd expect. I think the guys landed a massive plane, and did a great job doing it. But you're never going to make everybody happy, nor should that be the goal."
I think part of the problem we have with this, and this is something that people bring up a lot, is this sort of like upset and just needing for shows to end correctly.
Right.
It sort of started with you remember Lost.
Yeah, so
everybody hated Lost's final, but like this sort of like theorizing and picking apart every single TV show, it sort of started with that. And I think at this point people just don't watch TV. Like
I think people are watching the content and they're not seeing exactly what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when they react.
Well, and it's a catch-22 because you either watch the content and you see your theory unfold, in which case you're like, this is too easy, right. I guess that. Or you watch it and it's not to your theory and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense.
For sure.
And it sort of makes sort of a difficult balancing beam for content creators.
Yeah, no. I just think we live in an age where everybody, I don't want to say this in like a wrong way, but everybody has access to having an opinion. And so they feel that their opinion is above like show writers and like people who have been dedicating, this is what they did for their job.
People just in the industry.
Yeah, and so I just think if you're if you're not enjoying the ride, then just get off. Just stop. Like,
And
I feel like in this day and age, we have there's so many options. There's so much content to consume that you really you have the choice to stop. If you don't like something, you can stop.
I feel like there's certain people, especially when you talk about Game of Thrones, where they'll say, A, I've sunk so much time into this, I can't give up now. And B, because Game of Thrones was such a phenomenon, if you weren't watching it, there are certain circles where you would just be out of the conversation.
For sure.
I know there are several podcasts I listen to. They'll get to the end of the podcast and they'll be like, okay, we're doing Game of Thrones spoilers. And I either have to cut it off because I have no idea what they're saying, or I just sit there lost for like half an hour while they talk.
I feel like I've always just been able to coast by putting in random comments. And that's what I did this season. Like the battle at Winterfell, I just say, that battle was crazy. And then somebody would like say something wild, and then I'm like, oh yeah, and old girl did the knife trick, boom, and got him. And then they would like add context. And so that's literally, I've been coasting on like the bare minimum when it comes to my Game of Thrones references, because I don't want to seem out of my depth, but I do want to see like, hey, I do know what's happening to an extent.
We don't watch the current events. We don't actually.
All right, and moving on. So the Detective Pikachu director explains how the last twist, quote unquote, was the plan all along. And before we continue with this, we did a Detective Pikachu in the field live spoiler review, so check that out. But director Rob Letterman planned it that way. He planned a spoiler, so we're not going to say the spoiler, but if you want to hear what the spoiler was, or watch the movie, or listen to our review about it, and he said there's a lot of little misdirections. It's all just look over here, look over there, don't pay attention. But the twist of the movie is not really a detective plot twist reveal at the end. It's an emotional twist reveal. It has nothing to do with the villains. Really, it's the father and son story. So, did you feel like that was a twist though?
Well, no.
Like, I didn't think I wasn't surprised when the twist happened. I was more surprised about the twist with Pikachu at the end.
What twist with Pikachu at the end?
The truth about Pikachu.
That was the twist.
No, he was talking about the bad guy twist, the antagonist.
That was not the twist. He clearly said it's not about the villain. It's a father and son story. And
the father and son were the villains in the movie. That's what he's talking about.
He's talking about the heroes, Marcus.
No, he's not.
We might have to spoil this for you to understand.
No,
what
he's not talking about the. Okay, read on. He's not talking about the. He's not talking about the Pikachu twist. He's talking about.
He's definitely talking about the Pikachu twist.
He's not. Either way, both of those were not a twist, and they were both dumb. But it doesn't make sense with Pikachu because Pikachu doesn't talk.
Yeah, Marcus, I told you this before.
And so how can they continue a franchise with a non-talking Pikachu?
Well, I don't think they set out when they made this movie to make it a franchise.
I think they did.
I think I'd want them to. I'd want them depending on where they go. I'd either want them to build a Super Smash Bros. Franchise or just a Pokemon franchise. But you could do all sorts of things with that Rhyme City. Like they could just take the art style and shift it away from Rhyme City, and they could go into a trainer story. They could just follow Mewtwo. There's just so much that they could do with that.
True. All right, moving on. So, if you are not hip with the one of the best television series ever, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., last season it starred briefly Gabriel Luna, who played Gabriel. He was the Ghost Rider. He will be receiving a Marvel Hulu series, and it is it's a live action series based on a comic book character, and he previously appeared in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. However, the sources stress that
This will be a completely new iteration of the character. Ooh. In no way connected to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. storyline. So, I think this is good. I feel like
this is a good. Here's what I would say. This is a good idea. I don't know why Disney is doing this, because they own all of Hulu at this point. They own a controlling stake in Hulu,
right?
And they do have Runaways on Hulu, and they're gonna have this on Hulu. But they have their own online. They have their own streaming service coming up at the end of the year. Well, they'll basically be competing with themselves.
Well, I feel like it makes sense, like, because you don't want to flood that Disney Plus streaming service with all of your content. Like, you still want to be able to have like that variety, and so I feel like a Ghost Rider series that could be potentially very dark, you probably wouldn't want that on Disney Plus. You probably would want that on a service like.
So are you gonna say that for like their more edgy Marvel stories like Jessica Jones, like Cloak and Dagger, like Runaways, they're gonna put that on Hulu?
Yes, I would not be surprised if we saw like Daredevil, Luke Cage, all of them over on Hulu, and then we see other iterations like that, the Winter Soldier, all that on Disney Plus.
Disney, keep Kim Possible on your streaming service. Don't take it off like you did last time. I'm tired of you doing that.
All right, and last thing in the last thing on the front porch, Star Wars: Rise of the Skywalker preview. It was the Vanity Fair cover of the month. It's basically a preview of Star Wars: Rise of the Skywalker. Morgan, are you excited for this movie?
I'm excited for this movie. I'll be more excited when the movie's closer.
Okay.
Or at least when we know anything about it, just because we've gotten a couple of photos, which some of those photos look pretty good. You know, they had that they had Finn and the I don't even know if we know the name of the character, but the black lady, and she had a bow, and I was just like, oh, that gave me Horizon Zero Dawn feel. So I'm excited for this movie. I'm excited for it just on the premise that I like the way Star Wars films look, like the way they're shot, and just their landscapes. They're different from like other films. They just feel more grandiose to me compared to even just like Marvel, where you can sort of pick out where, oh, this is a green screen area, or like, oh, this is like a very contained area. Star Wars just feels like more expansive.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it'll be good. I don't have too much to say about that. Moving on, we're in the living room. So already, we're not even 6 months into 2019. Whew, 2019 has felt like a lifetime. Yeah. But Facebook has already removed more than 2 billion fake accounts this year.
Oh, yeah.
And so, especially with the upcoming presidential election, there's going to be, of course, it's already here, but a rise in, I don't want to call it fake news, but like false reports and misleading information.
Fake news.
But, so company executives said that there's been a sharp uptick in the number of fake accounts created this year. There were 2.19 billion accounts removed during the first quarter of 2019, nearly double the 1.2 billion removed during the fourth quarter of 2018. The rise was largely due to spammers and other bad actors who attempted to create large volumes of accounts at one time. Facebook VP of Integrity, Guy Rosen, wrote in a blog post. Rosen was also quick to caution that Facebook is able to remove many of those fake accounts automatically at the time they are created. These numbers are driven largely by automated attacks. Most of these are blocked within minutes of their creation, he said during a call with reporters. Facebook says it has removed 98.8% of fake accounts before they were reported by users. And so I feel like Facebook is trying to not save face, but trying to be more proactive when it comes to.
Well, they have to. They have. Facebook is one of the most, out of all the social media, Facebook, for whatever reason, I think it has more to do with the users who are primarily on Facebook, has a outrageous amount of communities that are extremely damaging to society as a whole, and that's stepping aside from the political view. That's things like anti-vaxxing that has a huge following,
or even I would say YouTube is more than Facebook, just because YouTube targets like young kids, and so with like subliminal
young
messaging.
Young kids aren't looking at anti-vaxxing.
Or even like, what was that? The Momo doll that was telling kids to kill their parents, and it's just like things like that. But it's like, yeah, it's good to see Facebook take like a stand on this early, but I want to see how far they're going to go and who really is going to be the victims of this, because you know that there's going to be real victims whose accounts have been closed, and it's just like when we look at the accounts of real people who they're closed, it generally lends towards like Black Lives Matter or like civil rights advocate groups and other groups or accounts of that nature.
Well, yeah, but every social media has their own problems. Like Reddit is just a massive echo chamber.
For sure.
That is awful when you use it as a user. I've been fighting this when it comes to gaming and all that, but all of them have their own faults, and I think Facebook, to me, is one of the more damaging ones, just because Facebook is the one where when it starts affecting users, they start doing things like not vaccinating their children, or the new what's that new thing that where people are buying up, like it's sort of like an acid or like something that people are like buying up, and they're like, oh, this is a cure-all and it's killing people. Like Facebook has a hugely damaging site, just because its audience does skew older,
right?
And so they don't tend to think about things like, oh, half of everything on the internet is a lie.
Right, for sure. All right, moving on. I got a question for you, Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think you should get paid? How much would you 3D scan your body for?
Depends on what they're using it for.
No, just in general. Like, let's say a company offered you a certain amount of money. Let's say Amazon offered you a certain amount of money to 3D scan your body. What would that price be?
Probably about $500,000.
$500,000? Well, guess what? Amazon is actually currently offering $25 gift cards to 3D scan your entire body. So basically,
what are they using it for, though?
They're going to be creating the Android version of yourself, so when the War of the Robots come, you already have like a similar attack, and so they already know where you live, and so you're going to be fighting your Android version, and Jeff Bezos is going to be in his blimp above everything, seeing these fights, and he's going to take the winners of that, and he's going to take them to Mars. And this is all true. Like,
that is not true.
This is all true.
That is nowhere near true.
That is true. Alright, so basically, let me pull up the article. Alright, so that's right. Amazon, the online shopping monolith, is giving volunteers $25 gift cards to a site in exchange for 3D scans of their bodies. The effort is part of the company's real-world image study. This goes towards my Android take. Alright, so bear with me. The purpose of which is internal product research. So they want to study every part of your body so they know where your weaknesses are.
No.
And then they give the Android.
Marcus, you were just talking about how certain sites are being hit on Facebook. This is why. And you saying stuff like that.
So participants must be up for a 30-minute session that includes one survey, height and weight measurements, 3D scans, photo and videos of the person, and everyday clothing, as well as in form-fitting clothing the study will provide. So they are providing you the clothing that your Android would wear.
No.
As they
Marcus.
That's sick.
If I had to put my money on it, the reason why they're doing this is for their Amazon store.
The offer is open to people 18 years or older and non-Illinois residents. Shout out to Illinois for saying, hey, we don't want no parts of this.
Those interested must travel to the company's Union Square office, located on the 8th floor of 37th East 18th Street, New York, New York. The offer ends on June 30th or while supplies last. So, wait a minute. Amazon has basically unlimited money. You have to go to New York, and they're offering you $25.
It's probably just for New York residents.
It's insanity. That makes no sense.
They're probably only expecting New York residents to do this.
If you are planning to get your body 3D scanned, please hit us up. Let us know how it goes, and we'll probably see you in the afterlife.
No.
You won't make it.
What Amazon is doing is they're probably getting ready for their Amazon stores because they're going to try and start selling that.
Okay. So next up, have you been following this
Huawei story? I have, actually.
And so basically, so Trump has basically been going back and forth with this Chinese technology company to the fact that their sales are kind of suffering, and now they're going to take an even bigger L because Android, that is the company that hosts their operating system.
Google Android.
Yeah, they are removing themselves from their product. And so now it's basically going to be like, what are they going to do when it comes for operating service? Because there's really only, correct me if I'm wrong, there's iOS, there's Android, and then there's Windows.
For cell phones, it's really just iOS and Windows. iOS and Android.
Android and Windows?
No.
Well, like HTC and all that?
No, they use Android.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Everybody uses Android except for Apple. Because building out an iOS is extremely difficult.
Yeah, I bet.
Especially an iOS for cell phones. Like, it's not like you're building one for like a more specific thing, like maybe a console. It's a very big undertaking. And the reason why Trump is doing this is, one, Huawei, while they're not as big in America, they're big all around the world. They're big in Europe, China, all those places. And they are at the forefront of 5G technology. And so what Trump's trying to do is he's trying to play dirty and cripple them to give American companies a better chance at hitting 5G before China. And it also goes down to, again, the thing that always happens on the internet. Whenever a Chinese company starts coming up in sales and everything, everybody automatically believes that they're spying for the Chinese government.
Right.
Which is another reason why they want to be at the forefront of 5G. But it's the same thing with like Epic Games when they started making their store. They're like, oh, you're selling our stuff to China. And so it's just that automatic scare that people are going with. It's going to definitely be interesting to see what happens because Huawei is a very big company and they can do a lot of things. And if they do just say, you know what, we can't use Android anymore, we'll just build our own iOS, it can actually detriment America to a larger extent because then they could start selling that to other companies.
For sure.
And that will impact them even more.
For sure. I completely agree with you. All right, next up, we are trying to get into the mind of Elon Musk. It is impossible, but Tesla is within reach of a new record quarter for delivery, says Elon Musk. So in an email he sent to Tesla employees, he said, as of yesterday, we have had over 50,000 net new orders for this quarter. Based on current trends, we have a good chance of exceeding the record 90,000 deliveries for quarter 4 last year and making the highest delivery/sales quarter in Tesla history. This is basically coming on the heels of him saying Tesla will run out of money by this time next year. So, but also he says, in order to achieve this, we need sustained output of 1,000 Model 3s per day. Almost all parts of Model 3 production systems have exceeded 1,000 units on multiple days. Congratulations, and we've averaged about 900 days this week, so we're only about 10% away from 7,000 a week. Musk thinks that if the Tesla team rallies hard, they can do it. Tesla declined to comment on the email. This email comes after the Tesla stock sustained 6 straight days of losses, and it is down to a more than 2-year low. And so just this journalism's take on it was that It's encouraging, but it doesn't look like it's in the bag. It's good that they already have 50,000 orders, but they will need a lot more orders by the end of the quarter in order to succeed the demand. They're running enough vehicles in transit in quarter one to compensate for the difference, and they need to take into account that some of those orders won't be delivered by the end of the quarter. They have a few things on their side for that, like the tax credit going down for them at the end of the quarter, which should incentivize some people to order now in the U.S. They also need to increase production, which is easier said than done. And in short, the email is encouraging. It shows that demand is still strong for the Model 3. But I wouldn't put more than 50% on a new record quarter for Tesla deliveries just yet. And so what I think the problem is he's going to rally his employees. But when you're doing something mass production that is a car, there's going to be mistakes made.
There's going to be mistakes made. And
I feel like people are going to get injured, not only on the assembly line, but also like driving it. And so I feel like...
What do you mean driving it?
It's not just because I feel like there's going to be like a malfunction or something, like a part is missing, or like God forbid like a recall happened and you got to send your car all the way back to San Francisco or wherever they manufacture that.
I mean, yeah, but that's a risk that almost every car company takes.
But they're not trying to achieve what Musk is trying to achieve with Tesla, though.
They're not, but I think on the brighter end, what Tesla is doing, just from every standpoint, not selling it through the traditional way that we sell cars, which basically rips off the consumer, selling it online, having stores, and of course having a green car, is all things that I think are worth fighting for. And the problem that's going to be with the Tesla is, of course, they need to get... The two things Tesla needs to work on is, one, they need to get a better production cycle, which takes time, of course. Mm-hmm. It takes time, and as manufacturing goes on, the way that they manufacture becomes cheaper and easier, which is something that they need to happen fast. And two, they need to... it's kind of hard to say, hey, make a new car now, but they need to get their minds working to see if they can make a budget-friendly version of the Tesla.
Yeah,
because that, sure. I know that's their ultimate goal. Their ultimate goal is a $50,000 eco-friendly car. But if they can get a budget-friendly version of the Tesla in these streets, they will be able to move and grow at such a greater speed. And they will be able to get out of that influencer, ultra-rich market.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. All right, next up, Instagram comes to exist. Instagram has come to its senses and will now support landscape video on IGTV. This has been long overdue, just because IGTV is very annoying.
IGTV is awful.
And so it's just like now when you're able to support landscape, and even as a content creator, it's more incentivizing than instead of having to do special dimensions when you're creating content, you can just do it in the regular dimensions that you have for like your YouTube videos, Facebook, and other things like that. I feel like this is a great step for them in the right direction when it comes to their videos and their. But I still think they're going to be behind because of apps like TikTok, and even when you have a giant like YouTube. Like right now, YouTube is basically the king when it comes to.
They're behind in that, and then also it's difficult to like find, search, and look at specific videos from specific channels.
And that's one thing that YouTube has always had on lock. YouTube is not necessarily a streaming site; it is more of a search engine.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think where Instagram and even Facebook to an extent lacks when it comes to content searching, just because you can't just type this; it's going to show what you think you want to see. But with YouTube, you search it just like a Google search.
But at the same time, in my head, I go, do we actually need for IGTV to work out? Because on Instagram alone, there's already so much content that is put out there in different forms. You have the stories, you have regular posts, you have your gallery, you have IGTV. At this point, I'm thinking, just stop. Like, what else do I need on this platform? Yeah, and I'd rather they work on perfecting what they do best already, as opposed to just adding more ways of looking at slightly different forms of content.
For sure. This is what they said in a blog post. We realize this is an evolution from where IGTV started. We believe it's the right change for viewers and creators. In many ways, opening IGTV to more than just vertical videos is similar to when we opened Instagram to more than just square photos in 2015. It enabled creativity to flourish and engagement to rise, and we believe the same will happen again with IGTV. So it's really just a wait and see game when it comes to this.
We'll have to see, but I'm not putting my money on it.
All right, kitchen. We are in the kitchen today.
In the kitchen.
So rest in peace to the 3 people who have lost their lives in the tornadoes that happened in Jefferson City, Missouri. Last night. It was last night. It was actually close to Lincoln University. Shout out to a fellow historically black college.
HBCU.
And but yeah, just shout out to the victims, and over there we're praying for peace. And if you would like help, I do have a contact for you. So if you are listening and you are in Jefferson City, I can definitely hook you up with the contact who has been willing and able, and he said he will do whatever it takes to help you move forward. So just prayers and condolences from 26 and Glencoe over there. And next up, Allyson Fenix on Nike's bias towards women. So she wrote an op-ed for the New York Times, and she talked about how when she was pregnant with her child, Nike was basically biased against her and didn't want to support her. And she said, she started off with, "I've always known that expressing myself could hurt my career. I try not to show emotion, to anticipate what people expect from me, and to do it. I don't like to let people down, but you can't change anything with silence." She also said, "Last night, 2 of my former Nike teammates broke their non-disclosure agreements with the company to share their pregnancy stories in the New York Times investigation. They told their stories we athletes know are true, but I've been too scared to tell publicly. If we have children, we risk pay cuts from our sponsors during pregnancy and afterwards. It's one example of the sports industry where the rules are still made for and by Muslim men." We're not gonna read too much into it, but I do think that's very true when it just comes to not just sports, but even with like the abortion ban. It's just like women's bodies are being like dictated by men who will never have to put themselves in their situations. And I do think that is a deeper issue because just myself and you, we just being raised by like a strong mother and having like strong female influence, we've always viewed women as equal to men. And it's just like, it's been weird to me just as like growing up and seeing like misogyny and seeing like, you know, just like the double standards. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's actually been like a shocker. And it's like something that I was not prepared for, just because I just thought everybody like worked hard, you're gonna get your reward, you're gonna get your success. But it's just like seeing how women have to work twice as hard as men, how like black women have to work 3 times as hard as everybody. And even it's just like seeing that those barriers, those extra barriers that society and the world has put against them, that's been like really real.
Yeah. To a large extent, I think I agree with all of that. As far as like Nike and like their shoes and bias towards things, I agree with her. I agree that Nike needs to be open, but at the same, it's business, and you can't trust business with anything. Sentimentality isn't something they do well. So it's about thinking your way through it before you do it when it comes to business.
For sure. Moving on. So, you saw Avengers, right, Morgan?
Yeah, I saw it.
Would you compare Nipsey Hussle's death to Nipsey Hussle's death to Iron Man?
No.
Okay. So T.I. spoke about Nipsey Hussle during his visit to Capitol Hill. He says, "It was an incredible loss. We talk like the Avengers of investment. The comparison is strange, but considering just how vital Iron Man is to the Avengers, it's seriously validating all that Nipsey did to invest in black communities." Tim went on to offer the Nipsey/Iron Man analogy before saying the following: everybody knows that Nipsey was pretty much the founder of the idea to bring everyone together, may individually be able to do great things and make a significant impact on in their own communities, but for us to come together, we can impact so many more communities and spread our efforts so much wider. Do you agree with T.I.'s assessment?
No.
Why, and why is that?
What I would say to T.I., and that's not to take away from what Nipsey did. I did not know him in life. I was not aware of him. But to say that he is the Iron Man, he's the origin of black people investing in their own communities, to say that before now, no black person has ever invested in their community, which isn't true. There's been many people who talked about investing in your community. Malcolm X talked about investing in your community.
I think what T.I. was trying to say, Nipsey Hussle was trying to do it on a larger scale. He was trying to bring black celebrities together and for them to reinvest into the community, and also it's just there has been black celebrities that have invested into communities, but they haven't been in the community. It's just they invest from a 3,000 foot up, and then they stay at that 3,000 foot. What Nipsey was trying to do, he was trying to say, hey, you guys are still in your community. Let's build it up while we're still living in it, and that was his goal. But I do just think when it comes to T.I. and the analogy between Nipsey Hussle and Iron Man, I feel like the comparison is wrong because it doesn't do Nipsey Hussle justice. Just because when it comes to a fictional character like Iron Man, I know what he was trying to do, but the impact and the influence that Nipsey Hussle had was way bigger than what a fictional character like Iron Man did, and that's just because what Tony Stark was trying to do through the MCU, he was a builder, and what he did he built to help the world, he built to save the world. But what Nipsey was, he built to save the world from, I don't want to say for future generations.
What I would say, not to take away from this, but this has been something that I've noticed just thinking about the MCU as a whole, is they always be Iron Man, he's the origin, he was the builder of all of this. And to a certain extent, I feel like it's less that Iron Man built all of this, but more that his movie and Robert Downey Jr. and the people who helped create that project helped build the entire MCU. Because when I look back, when you think back on the MCU, it's not like Iron Man was out here building up the Avengers initiative. He might have named them.
Yeah.
But the person who collected everybody, sent out all the notes, was Samuel L. Jackson. It was Nick Fury. And he was the one who told them to all go to New York and got them to go there. So it's not like Iron Man built up he might have took over and was their leader, but I don't feel like you could say that Iron Man was the one who just put it all together.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's where Nipsey Hussle would be more like a Nick Fury, as in he wanted everybody to come together. He was the one who reached out to T.I., to David Gross, to Rick Ross. He was saying, hey, let's build this together so that not only we can eat good and our children can eat good, but that their children can eat good and their children can eat good. Yeah. Or not eat good, but have the opportunity to have success in their own community. Yeah. All right. Next up, we are in the dining room. Have you been following the Denver Mayoral race?
I have been talking to your mom about it.
So it has been a complete shit show. I am at the point where I am just tired of the whole ordeal. If we want to really be serious, this is just my personal opinion. This isn't Morgan's. This isn't 26 and Glencoe's. I do not think Mayor Hancock should have run in the first place. Mm-hmm. I feel like, as a man, when you cheat on your wife, how can I trust you? If you cheat on the person you pledge your soul to, who you have actively pledged your soul to, how can I trust you? Not just trust you as a man, but if I can't trust you as a man, why would I trust you to be a leader of a city? And that was just my personal opinion on that. I feel like he didn't get he didn't get the pressure that I was expecting, especially from the black community, where family is so important to us. And it's just like, he just went on like, yeah, my bad, y'all. I was tripping. That was my fault. That was my bad, but we still don't get it. And then to see him run for mayor and face more about like gentrification, which is all like some of his other key issues, which is all good, but like, it's just like at his core, he's a cheater. And it's just like, I don't personally know Michael Hancock, but I'm saying just as a black man, and you marry a black woman, you know how much pressure they're under. You know how society views them. So for you to be, I think the second black mayor of the city, and for you to embarrass your wife on basically the international stage, that not only that hurts her, that hurts you, and then for your son to turn around and cuss out the cops, it's like you need to get your house in order. Like forget running the city. You need to get your house in order. And even you weren't here, but like when he was doing his campaign ads, it wasn't his wife, it wasn't his son, it was his daughter. And it's just like, as a man, I can't rock with that, because even if your wife forgives you, even if she's like, okay, that's your fault, to me that just says, yo, you can't be trusted. Because I literally just said this, when you cheat on your wife, when you cheat on the person you marry, to me that's just like, I know like sin, even if we're thinking about like biblically and religiously, when you're talking about sins, no sin is worse than the other. But when you get married, you're one with the person, and when you're one with the person, that's like you said, that's my better half. And it's like, when you cheat on that, it's like, okay, if you're willing to cheat on your better half, what else are you willing to do? And on top of that, his gifts that he got from like developers, from like Oakwood Homes, from like all these developers in the city, those were nasty. It was like club tickets to the Rockies game, courtside at the Nuggets, sweet tickets for the Broncos, and there was like 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. And it's like, and he's like, no, it's okay because blah, 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 it was under the limit. And it's just like, just because it's okay doesn't mean that it's right. So that's where I think...
The problem I would say to you is, that's politics.
No, and that's cool.
Not all of that, you look at like, oh, he got all these gifts from all these people, that's bad. And I would say, that's what lobbying is.
And see,
that's what they do.
That's
how you get ahead.
And that's the problem with just United States policies. Like, you shouldn't have, people should not be able to buy your loyalty. People should not be able to buy your morals.
You can say that, but that doesn't change the fact that that's how things are done.
No, for sure.
And like I get like you're saying, like we should operate on a morally high ground.
Right.
You know, I'm a realist. I believe there should be a good world, but that's not how we live in it.
Right.
So if we want to get ahead, if we want to push ahead and actually work towards that world, we cannot operate like we're there already.
For sure. And moving on to Jamie Ellis, I believe that's her name. Yes. She, I don't know if you know who Brother Jeff is, but he does a daily talk show. And there was some mumble about her. She didn't know who the NAACP, she didn't know what NAACP stood for. And they straight up asked her, and she didn't know what NAACP stood for. And people were, of course, upset. They're like, blah blah blah. How can you want black people to vote for you? You don't know what the NAACP is. And she's a developer as well. And she actually was. I could be mistaken, so please do not quote me on this. But I believe Mayor Hancock hired her to be an architect of the like Rhino region.
Well, you can't go anywhere in the city without hitting something that's underdeveloped. And to a certain extent, I understand why people are upset. I understand things like gentrification. But with the amount of people that are coming to this city, our infrastructure and our housing is buckling under it.
And I was, I don't know if you watched the debate the night ago, but Mayor Hancock was basically like, "You not from here, you can't run it." He basically was like, "Nah, you not really from here." And then it was an interesting back and forth. But with Ellis and not knowing the NAACP, I actually I wasn't mad at that because
it's an acronym,
and it's just like, what has the NAACP done? Like, can you give me a landmark of like the past, let's say the past 10 years that the NAACP has done?
Other than hand out awards?
Yeah.
Well, the thing...
And it's just like...
But Marcus, you have to also be fair. The NAACP now is more focused on, again, they're focused on awards and scholarships.
And see, that's cool, but the NAACP, National Advancement of the Association of Colored People, please tell me I got that right. Please tell me I got that.
You might run into some problems.
Right,
but
okay,
again,
but I got it.
Look at that acronym. And it has colored people in the name.
It's the advancement. And so when you're just giving out awards and scholarships, that's cool, but what are you doing in the community? And it's just like, I would be more upset at Ellis if she didn't know what like Black Lives Matter was, if she didn't know. Of course, she knew about like Occupy because she was a developer. But if she didn't know about some of these local movies, if she didn't know about like Trayvon Martin, if she didn't know about like all like the black men who are all not black men, but just like black people, Sandra Bland, who are being shot by the police or killed by the police, and it's just like I can't get mad at a person for not knowing an organization that hasn't done anything, and that's just like how I feel, and it's just like. And it's like this weird predicament, just like, as a citizen of Denver, it's just like, okay, if I vote for Ellis, that's potentially 8 years of like, so it's basically like, and with Hancock, it's just
4 more years.
And it's just like the devil you know and the devil you don't know.
Well, that's politics.
And it's just like, and that's where I've just been like chilling, just like, yo, I don't know who to vote for, just because like. Where everybody has had such like, I feel like it's been so, people are so like angry at the choices of mayor, they're just lashing out, but they're not taking a second to take a step back and actually analyze the situation. Because I was reading a post on Facebook and this lady, she was like, I'm not voting for Ellis because I don't see myself in her campaign. And I'm thinking, where do you see yourself in Hancock's campaign? And it's just like, and it's been super just like weird just seeing, because this is really, I think this is my first, I think this will be my first mayoral race that I've actually voted in, because, well, did I? No, I may have voted in the last one, I don't remember. But this will be my first mayoral race that I truly like remember, and it's just like, okay, everybody's so angry at each other, and when we're angry, we're not coming up with solutions.
But that's what we're doing now. We're just angry.
And it's just like there needs to be a solution to that instead of just like arguing and bickering.
Yeah, let them argue.
All right, last thing in the dining room, 53%. So Morgan, are you familiar with this 53%?
No.
Okay, so. In the 2016 presidential election, after Donald Trump admitted to sexual harassment, sexual assault, basically, he admitted to being an adulterer. All this moral that should have just like eliminated him completely. He said 53% of white women voted for him, still voted for him, and now with the current abortion ban, we have like, especially even in Alabama, we have a white female governor who signed the bill into law, and it's just how, I don't want to say we can't trust them, but it's just like
you can't trust them though.
Coming at things
here's my thing. When I
was
say
just like a grain of salt, like just like. Okay, you have to keep your boundaries up, and it's just like Malcolm X talked about it, and he said how white liberals are the most dangerous to a black movement, and it's just because how they take over and they make it about themselves, and even with like this abortion ban, like they didn't care about the wall, they didn't care about immigrant families being ripped from their being torn apart. They didn't care about the HUD basically stripping itself down. They didn't care about the EPA, but they cared. But when they really saw something that mattered to them, that's when they stood up. And that is my issue. Like, you can't stand up in a democracy. You can't just stand up for what's right for you. You have to stand up for what's right with everything. Just like fair and equal.
But that is what, and this might be upsetting to a lot of people, that is what white women do a lot of times, is they don't stand up unless it's a problem that is dealing and having to deal with them. Like, they stood up for Me Too, but they didn't stand up for Trump. And they do it all the time. You look back at the Roy Moore, they're always like, yeah, black women and black men, they saved us from Roy Moore. And I'm like, well, let's look at the percentage of white women that still voted for him.
It's like 60% or something. Wow.
And like, you look at, you saw me looking this up, a majority of the teachers in this country are female. I believe the percentage is, let me go back. Percentage is about 77% of teachers are female. And if you go younger in age to elementary school, it's even more. Mm-hmm. And most of that percentage are white females. And multiple studies have shown that just the way you teach your students can affect how they see things. Because your teachers, that's the person you spend the most time with outside of your parents. And there was a study that showed that teachers who would read books to their students about same-sex families, not them doing anything crazy, not them out there saving the world, just a same-sex family going to get some ice cream. Students don't even got to read the book. The teacher reading that book to that student, those students who got that education, they were more likely to be accepting of people who were homosexual, and they were more likely to fight for gay rights.
Right.
But that doesn't happen. And of all the minority groups in this country that have the power to make this world a better place, white women are the ones that have that most power, and they don't seem to stand up unless it's their problem.
For sure. Grand opening, grand closing. I got it this week. The Travis Scott Jordan 1s. Those were not the sneakers of the year.
Which one was that?
It was the brown Air Jordan 1s with the backwards swoosh.
Was that the ones you posted on Instagram?
Yeah.
And I said that was ugly.
Yeah, but
those are hideous. They look like combinations of flesh.
Those are with literally 5 months into the year. People are already saying this is the release of the year. I say, because I have them, I've seen them in person. They're alright. They're cool, but it's just like, I don't think that's the sneaker release of the year. And with it only being May, I'm sure there's going to be more releases. There's going to be more hyped about releases. Of course, we still have the Brez that come out in December. We've had a few nice sneakers that's come out already. Like, I even like the Apollo PG3s. I know those aren't the sneaker of the year, but I feel like those should be up there. So I just feel like we need to stop. We're in such a reactionary time. We need to stop back and just take a step back and analyze.
Yeah, I mean, they looked like combinations of flesh, and when I looked at it, I got flashbacks to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So, yeah.
Okay, I just want to thank you all for listening today. At One Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms, at MetroMeta26. So we've had a bunch of content come out this week. Earlier this week, I was joined by some good people. My friend Charles, Aaliyah, Zay, Eob, Hex Kitten, Molly. We talked about Aisha Curry, sex, relationships. Check that out. I also had another. I did another podcast with Professor Jaleesa Williams, and we talked about Black mental health, the importance of freeing yourself, and just we talked about a lot of things, children, therapy. So make sure you check that out as well. We are back. We're back full force. So
and, we got something exciting in the pipeline, don't we?
We have upcoming first. We still have to do our Avengers Endgame review. We still have Mortal Mondays are coming back. So check out for that. We have our Buzzer Beater podcast, which should be dropping sometime in June.
And We will be at Denver Pop Culture Con.
Yes, we actually will be starting our Denver Pop Culture Con content that will be coming out this weekend. So make sure you're on the lookout for that.
And if you see us out there, remember to say
And we will also be at Evo 2019 in Vegas. That first weekend in August. So we'll be out there for that as well. That is all that's coming down the pipeline. Do you have anything to add?
Nope.
All right, and until next time, peace.
Peace.